Apple iPhone pre-orders kicking off today. Let's get to Josh Lipton in San Francisco with those details. Hey, Josh.
Scott, pre-orders did begin at midnight for Apple's new high-end iPhones. Now, analysts, investors try and read the tea leaves here. Availability for that new iPhone XS Max, it's been pushed out, as you can see here on Apple's online store, within 1 to 2 weeks across multiple storage configurations. Same goes for some models of that new iPhone XS with its 5.8-inch display. I spoke with Gene Munster over at Loop Ventures. Now, he says compared to the iPhone X launch last year, this year's lead times are actually generally shorter based on his research, meaning you're not having to wait as long for these new models. Specifically, compared to the iPhone X launch last year, this year's iPhone XS lead times were on average 68% shorter, and the XS Max lead times were 43% shorter. Now, shorter lead times could indicate softer demand, though Munster did emphasize to me that this is not an exact science, he says, because we don't know, he points out, how many phones Apple's actually producing right now. Munster says the moment of truth for him is going to be lead times, though, for that new XR, which hits next month. That's the device he's predicting is going to be the company's most popular model in the quarters ahead. Scott, back to you.
All right, Josh, thanks so much. Josh Lipton out in San Francisco for us. You got the new phone. Pre-ordered it already, didn't you?
Well, listen, I think what's really interesting is that we talked about it the other night when
that was a yes or no question.
I mean, what's that? No,
are you deflecting?
He just immediately went on.
Are you deflecting?
If you bought an iPhone X last
he literally
year,
did. Still deflecting.
Did you? I bought an iPhone 8 last year. Okay, it was the first time since 2007 when they introduced the iPhone that I did not buy their highest end phone that they had, and I think this is going to be an issue as we think about these.
Look, this is usually a sell on the news thing, is it not? Like the
well, I tell you what, if you look at
I don't get to finish. So my point is,
you stopped.
Last night you were able to order the XS and the X Max, which is the upgrade of last year's phone, okay? And then on October 26th, you're going to be able to get this new XR, which is a version of this iPhone 8, which is going to be a larger phone. They do not have a smaller phone other than the 8 and the 7. It's a really, really confusing landscape, okay? So when they report at the end of October, it's going to be like, who knows what the heck the units are going to be like? And I just think that that's really important to get your arms around because I think it's confusing for consumers. Not only the names are confusing.
It is, Dan, but the good news for Apple stockholders, clearly, he still hasn't answered the question, is that the product release cycle, the refresh cycle, whatever this is, because this wasn't really a new product. It was a bigger, faster, stronger. There was nothing new in there. The good news for Apple, no one even cares. These moments have been de-risked. I actually think it's great news for the stock. No one cares that they actually have to innovate like crazy, and people, at least in the short run, that's not what they're playing. By the way, a year ago, that release was totally fraught with problems and bottlenecks and confusion on the SKUs, so I'm not worried.
I look at the average selling price, which is something, if you look at 2019, up $60 from where it is right now, from $739. That's huge. I mean, this is something I think that's going to be very, very big for Apple. Now, was it completely innovative? No. The watch is, though. I think what they've done with the watch, with the new chip and everything, far more efficient, much more health conscious. That is something, the watch is really killer. And by the way, at $399, their margins are unbelievable on that thing. But Apple continues to work in the wearables area. That's the area I continue to hit on in terms of growth. That's going to be they're already putting records out every single quarter with the watch. This one will be.
What's the high in this stock? 229, 250 all-time high?
Within $5,
229, 230.
So we're $6.
So we're $6 off.
So if you do the math and we played this game, in my opinion, I think Katie Huberty, Pete knows her very well. She put a $241 price target.
Raised $2.
You get it there. I mean, it gets there.
I think UBS
by
this
next
week
year's
did put a 250
multiple.
UBS this week, I think
240 to 250, and I think that is probably the upper end. But in this environment, Carter Braxton Worth talked about it the other day. I mean, they get about 8% upside. Pardon?
CBW did.
You'll see him later.
You're going to see CB-Dubs on. You're doing 08. By the way, thanks for being here, Scott. Friday night, you know, God bless you.
No, I
lost my train of thought. That's what happened.
Looking out.
240 upside, I think there's a chance you could see it back and fill back down to 185, 190. So you have to ask yourself, do you hold it and not trade it as Jim Cramer says and as Pete says all the time? Or you try to trade around this level? That's really the option right now.
I do think it's interesting. 2 weeks ago with Becky Quick when Warren Buffett said, well, I'd love to see the thing down 10% from here. And I actually think if you look at it, down 10% is really when it went parabolic in front of this event. So when you think about that, it's going to be kind of messy. I think it's kind of gaming what the units think. I think you're right about the watch. I think this has the potential to really accelerate those sales. But again, again, other products is 7% of their total sales. It's not really moving the needle. So, are they expanding the ecosystem? Are they doing all the things that make sense? Yes. I don't think you're going to have a lot of clarity until we get to fiscal Q4 guidance or whatever it is. And that's not going to be for
a lot.